Welcome to another episode of Cut Ups. Here we're watching Michigan's 31-7 victory over the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. We're starting at where we left off on episode 4.1, which ended right after this 4th and 1 pickup. So right before Michigan really started to pull away. If you missed the previous episode, Trevor and I broke that down. I'm here solo tonight to break down the rest of the game. A little bit short notice, so I don't expect the same turnout. Also, I don't have the intrigue and the beautiful face of Trevor. I don't know why I'm complimenting him. He's not here. And but yeah, if you're here to watch later on, welcome to the broadcast. I'll probably get going in a couple minutes here. If you're just joining me, welcome. So really good portion of the game here late in the second quarter. Lots of scoring plays to break down. So I think we established a lot of the trends of the game and some key aspects with Trevor on last episode. But this is where we get into, I would say, a bit more of the fun analysis, because the first few portions of the game wasn't as fun, frankly. So things really started to pick up. Okay, let me shift over my screen. Let's make me small, right? We want to see the game. We don't want to see Steven here. Hope you guys are all doing well. Let's take a sip of water and we'll get going. Okay, why am I back on this play? I started this on the last broadcast. So let's add this to the memory bank here real quick, okay? Where it's 4th and 1 and you need a yard. And just watch at how fast Blake Corum hits that hole, right? I want you to watch this with the understanding of this will be useful or this will be relevant later on. I will come back to this play. So Blake Corum, throw your body into the pile, right? Follow that push, good push from the offensive line, and just follow that, barrel your way through, and that's a first down. So important, right? At the end of the half, important to keep the drive going and get that first down. Let's move here into the touchdown pass here. First career touchdown reception of Samaj Morgan. Little back shoulder fade action gets the defensive pass interference to boot, and it's nice to see him get involved. If you missed his post-game comments, he said that they've been watching this guy on film, number 16, and he was excited to, I think he said, terrorize him a little bit. And this is just an excellent throw and really good adjustment to the ball. It's a quick throw. So in terms of pass protection here, they're only sending 4. They do have a little stunt on, relatively decent stunt pickup. You maybe want to see Barnhart do a little bit better. So you have this guy ducking inside, a little stunt here. These two, I think, are just straight up. So Barnhart's going to get blown over here from this defensive lineman kind of going out towards that C gap. So boom, gets into Barnhart. That does create an open gap, right? There is an open lane here, but the throw is designed one-on-one coverage, back shoulder throw. Doesn't allow much time for pressure to get there. And yeah, this is just give a lot of props to Samaj Morgan, right? He's able to recognize where the ball is mid-air, continues on his route, right? And this is what I really like. He can locate the ball right here, does a good job continuing on his route, gets a little subtle push, right? This will never get called, but he's really close to the body of 16, just enough of a little push to create enough distance. This is actually really good coverage. I give 16 a lot of credit because this is about as well covered as you can get. Yes, he does grab around the numbers here. Now, whenever you have red gloves, right? Red gloves on the back of a jersey here, that's going to get called, and that's why this is pass interference. But overall, that's pretty well covered, and give Samaj Morgan a lot of credit for a contested catch. So we'll see if he continues to get time, right? I believe he was out there on a kickoff return. It's really fun to see these early receivers show up in key moments like this. That's just a good catch. That's what you want from your young guys, be able to go up and look comfortable doing it. That's not an easy play. That takes tremendous body control. So for him to show out early like this, probably earlier than I was expecting to see him for sure, and probably a lot of others, it's a really good sign for his future. I still think Tyler Morris will probably be the one of the younger unsung guys who comes through and shines for Michigan on offense at the wide receiver position, but don't count him out, right? If he can show that ability for body control on that touchdown, I won't count him out for future touches. It's an impressive play. Okay, back in here. This is another one that I would call just a classic Blake Corum run. One that I would like to be a little bit better blocked up front that could have sparked a little bit more. So classic power, right? Where you're down blocking play side, boom, boom, boom. Going out to get the edge here. You're leaving this guy unblocked, and you're bringing Keegan here as well. And I believe you're bringing Bredesen. So it's a little counter look out of Bredesen, right? If any of the keys are on the fullback, he's starting out this way and then he's going there. That also just gives time, for your blocks to develop, right? These guys need time to get out there. And you need time for your puller as well. So that's kind of what that initial motion is. And you can see that initial motion, both Bredesen and the little hip step there out of Corum, the little shuffle that Corum does to the left, that initially makes this linebacker move to his left. He's still staying where he is, and these guys are kind of shifting to the outside as well. So clever little, just little micro movements like that to get the defense to just wait a little bit and let the play develop. So there's your pull. I'd like to see Myles Hinton do a little bit better job here, right? He's doing a good job keeping space here, keeping this gap, and he's identified who he has to take out, this linebacker, right? And they're leaving this guy unblocked. Keegan's right here to pick this up, and then you have Bredesen leading the way through the hole to pick up this play side linebacker, right? And the goal here, Blake Corum, you follow your blocks here. You'll be one-on-one against a safety, and good luck to that safety, right? You got Loveland out here. Huge hole. Huge hole. This is what you want for Michigan and what you want Blake Corum seeing. So it's well done there. Good job from Keegan to stop on a dime here and get that block, right? Keegan does a good job. Here's Bredesen going to get his block, and that's a good cut, right? Now, what's the one thing? This is blocked through the safety, as I said, except for 78 here. Hinton needs to get this block. If Hinton gets this block, this is the only guy who can react to this play because there's too much space here. Look at the space on the field that Blake Corum can play with. Right? He can fake inside, cut outside. He can fake outside, go inside. There's so much that Blake Corum can do here to put that safety in a really, really difficult spot, and that's exactly what he does. But Myles Hinton, if we look just by the ref here, he botches this block. Let's walk through it a couple times. Just doesn't get engaged, right? And he's making the cardinal mistake here of not going far enough upfield, right? If his momentum is I feel like he's affected a little bit by this push, right? If we back up even a little bit further, he gets pushed by that guy, and that carries his momentum a little bit too far. He needs to work upfield a little bit more, fight through this contact, right? Work upfield, and then turn your body this way. He's too far lateral before getting vertical, and that makes it way too easy on this linebacker to flow to the play. You notice how lateral he gets there. So give credit to the defensive lineman for pushing him down that, recognizing the path that Hinton wants to go down, but Hinton needs to do a better job getting vertical, right? Because if this guy wants to come down towards the line of scrimmage and then across, that's a lot of traffic right here to work through, right? So your primary focus for Hinton should be get vertical and then go lateral, because then he's either deciding to fight through this traffic, which good luck, or he has to work around you, and that gives you more leverage to work him up the field or turn him back inside. So just not enough verticality there. And if we watch the rest of the play, right, everyone else is doing a great job. Really nice job of Blake Corum, right, attacking this open hole, putting this guy in quite the bind. He thinks, yeah, I got all of this space right here, right, all of this that he is responsible for. He shuts this down, but guess what? You got Bredesen right about to pick up that block, and a nice vision here for Blake Corum to cut off of that block really well, make that safety irrelevant, and eventually that linebacker, right, the guy that Myles Hinton misses, that's who makes the initial play. If he's blocked, right, say that Myles Hinton is making this block right here, then it truly is just this safety who has to fly down and Blake Corum with all this space. right? Good luck. Good luck. So that's what one block can get you, right? It forces him back inside. It forces Blake Corum to make another guy miss. And now you have guys who shouldn't be even relevant in the play being able to flow from the backside because of that additional cut Blake Corum had to make there. So it's a bummer, right? This play should have gone debatably to the house. And it was still a well-blocked play, but one player missing that block limited this to 9 yards instead of, who knows how long. So little things, right? Just little things like that. And the delta is huge. All right, moving on to the next play. And at some point, we will see a shift from Hinton to Ladarius Henderson. I'll try to call that out. If I don't, let me know in the comments. Okay, this I like to call the JJ McCarthy effect, right? If you watch part one, I called out how much easier putting the threat of JJ McCarthy's legs in the heads of defender, how much easier that makes the rest of your offensive production overall. And this is exactly what I mean by that, where all you have to do is show this, right? Show this threat. And Michigan had earlier in this game the threat of JJ McCarthy's legs. And that's going to be in this edge defender's head a little bit of, oh man, I'm going to have to beat this guy to the edge. That's a tough task, right? Watch the hesitation here out of 17 on the edge. That hesitation is all Blake Corum needs, right? That's all he needs. Just that split second of, does he have the ball? Oh, crap, there he goes, right? That's what springs this play. You don't have to block him. That's how you gain numbers in the box, by making a defender wait that half second, right? Because if we're counting numbers in the box here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? If you take this guy out, right, then you have 7 blockers for only 6 that you have to account for. And you do that just by threatening that here. So you have winning numbers in the box because of this threat. So I love that they put the quarterback run on film here. They actually utilized it in a safe way, where JJ McCarthy very seldomly got hit this game, even though he ran the ball significantly more than other games. And then just excellent blocking, right? We look at play side, the tight ends were mauling, especially A.J. Barner. Colson Loveland is here to help as well. So play side, they really did well. And the linebackers are super aggressive on this play, right? They're getting really caught up in the at the line of scrimmage there. And it's a really good job of Colson Loveland continuing on this path, right? Continuing on this path, work off of this, get to the second level and close them off. Would you like to see him maybe loop a little bit more on this? Sure. I think you could like that a little bit more, but that's about the maximum yards, right? That's a really good tackle from the safety flying down as well. That's not an easy tackle for the safety to make. So give him a lot of credit for being able to make that tackle in space on Blake Corum. But look how easy, right? Look how easy this yardage looks just because of that fake and the threat of JJ McCarthy's legs. So I'm really glad that it's making things easier on the offensive line and making things easier on Blake Corum because of that possibility. Now, I put this in here for a couple of reasons. Quite a few reasons, actually. So let's first realize where the spot is on this, right? The spot is so bad where his nameplate, right, is right on this yellow line. Of course, the yellow line isn't necessarily always 100% accurate, but that's right about where the nameplate is. And I think any reasonable person would say that the ball is usually held up towards the shoulders in scenarios like this. If we move forward a little bit, we'll see that's initially where the ref is running up here. And same on the other side. The ref is running up right at that line, right at, what is that, 37-yard line? That's where they're running up to. And then for whatever reason, why are they stepping back, right? What is that? You see that they're initially putting the ball right there. That's where the ball is looking to be placed here. And then inexplicably, they start moving it backwards. Again, I'm not like a conspiracy theorist or anything, but in what world is that where the ball ends up? I don't get it. Don't get it. Right there, You're saying that ball is in his belly, at his legs, in between his legs? That's what you're saying? I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't know how you look at this, where he falls. I mean, if we had these refs, right, 2016 OSU, it's a wrap, right? It's a wrap. So if you missed part one, I broke down another play where the spot was egregiously bad. I don't know what these guys were doing, but that is at least a half yard short of where it should be. The other reason I bring this up is just the hesitancy of Donovan Edwards here. I get it. There are times to stutter step, right? There are times to look at what you have on the offensive line and decipher, right? This isn't one of those times. This is a let's get the first down. And the let's get a first down is decided right here when he gets the ball. There's a hole right here, right? Go right in between your tight ends right here, barrel your way in there. Instead, watch the stutter step. Why are you stuttering? And I think the chatter of him not being hit through fall camp, right? He was working through some things, getting back up to full speed as well. And it seems like he's just missing that aspect. It seems like he's anticipating the hit rather than taking the hit to the defender. Again, I'm not in his head. I don't have anything to back that up. But just that little stutter step, that gives just enough space for these two guys to reach Donovan Edwards here in time, right? And I'm going to try to pull up the play of Donovan Edwards, of Blake Corum, right? Let's pull up this play that I showed earlier on 4th and 1 and look at the difference, right? Boom. Barrels his way, right? There is no stutter step. You watch Blake Corum get that ball, he is going. That's a battering ram, right? Watch the footwork of Blake Corum one more time. No hesitancy, boom, right? And look at the difference on where 17 especially is able to make contact on the back hip, right? That helmet is on the back hip of Blake Corum right there. Any momentum that Blake Corum has here, it's going to continue going forward, right? Much more easily than if we go back here and we watch where the contact is made for both 17 and the other player. That's at the chest, right? That's at the chest. That is much more difficult, a full couple yards shorter than where Blake Corum was able to get. Barrel your way through, right? That isn't the time for hesitation, right? You barrel forward. You expect contact, and you have to just take it. You have to just take it. So I don't think he's going to get as many carries in short yardage situations, right? These are the exact plays that you cannot show that on film, and your coaches will lose trust that you're going to be the guy who can pick that up. Donovan Edwards is the same exact way last year if you go and watch film, unless there's a clearly lane. He stutter steps almost every single time. And Nate, I agree with you. And I think he has picked up a lot of patience from Blake Corum in that regard. And there is a time and a place for most runs. That's not a bad strategy, right? To read and react. It's being able to turn it on and be, you know what, this is bulldozer time. So I agree with you. I don't think there's a whole lot of difference between this year and last year. He's actually, I think, on par with yardage between this year and last year. I think the key difference is he's leaving a lot of yards on the field in a way that he wasn't last year. I think that's the key difference that I notice. And maybe I'm off. And there's still, again, we're 4 games in. You'd like to see him at a different spot at this point, but I think he will continue to improve and become the player that we know that he can be and that he showed at times last year. But it's concerning, right? It's concerning. Here's Khalil Mullings on 4th and 1. And again, the threat of JJ McCarthy's legs. I really like that he just gets out of bounds here, right? That's a safe play. It's the right thing to do here. The blocking is, again, exceptional. Really well done, right? Really well done, especially from your tight ends. Your tight ends, really good job. Colson Loveland, AJ Barner, getting this seam down. And watch, again, the conflict of, oops, what did I just do? Didn't mean to do that. Of number 6 here. He's conflicted, right? You see that little hesitancy of number 6. He's clearly heading down the line of scrimmage, so it is the right call to keep this, get to the outside. It's an impossible job for number 6. Really, really difficult job. Great job keeping to the outside. Again, these are easy yards. Shout out to blocking on the outside. I think is that Roman Wilson on the outside? Yep. Shout out Roman Wilson for getting that block. And Khalil Mullings is really hustling, right? Khalil Mullings doesn't actually pick anyone up on the second level, but he's sprinting. He's sprinting to get out there, trying to get out to a safety here. So good job. And again, this is what I want to see even early, right? It doesn't make sense to me to keep barreling when you have a guy like JJ McCarthy who can just take these yards, right? Just take them. If the edge wants to come flying down on the edge like that, take the yards. Now, one thing, there's no reason to really run out of bounds, right? Right here, slide down, just give yourself up, just crumble, right? But I'm glad that he is taking it to heart to protect his body, right? There's going to be times where you absolutely need to fight for yards against better teams in more precarious situations. There are times to fight, and he did it in this game as well. But on a play like this, you've done your job, right? You've done your job. It is your job as the leader of this offense to stay healthy. And you stay healthy, give up a yard, sure. You did your job, well executed. And I'm glad we saw that more on your short yardage situations. John, can't stay to watch this live. I'll be watching the replay. Want to know if you'll break down the Barnhart-Henderson hit in a rotation in more depth. I'll get to that at the end. If I don't address that at the end, I'll do my best to remember that at the end, John, for sure. Okay. This is the most frustrating. When I say leaving yards on the field, this is exactly what I mean out of Donovan Edwards. This is a well-blocked play. Well-blocked play. It's really weird because I feel like he had improved so much last year. And I don't want to rag on him because I feel like he will get there. But it's rare. It was rare to see this many yards left on the field from him last year. So overall, this play could go big, and it's well blocked. Okay, so what do you have play side? Backside, not a whole lot to talk about. Boom, boom, right? Play side, double team here. You'll want one. I think it's Barnhart is going to release, get out to the second level on one of the linebackers. I think this guy will already be going play side here. So I think it'll actually be this guy who Barnhart is targeting on the block. So you leave this guy coming up. You're pulling your right guard, Zinter. He's going to be the first guy to pick this guy up. And then you got your lead blocker here. I think this is Colston Loveland coming through the hole here. The additional blocks you are sending Cornelius Johnson here. And this whole concept is to run off this defensive back and hopefully pick up a safety, anyone else flowing to this play. The goal is to take out 2 players with your 1 wide receiver just by the threat of him going on a slant, right? Something like that. So this is well blocked, right? The initial guy getting the edge player for Zinter. Good job here. This isn't Loveland. This is Barner. You can see him working out here to the play side linebacker. Here he comes. See the backside linebacker flowing. Barnhart's targeting him. If we move forward a little bit, it's relatively well blocked. Boom, right? Everyone is engaged at this point, and it's actually a good block from Cornelius Johnson. So you can see right here, right? You can see this lane inside Barner. You can see that right here. So earlier what you said, Nate, about Donovan Edwards was the same way last year about the little hip step, right? The little chop step right here. This is the time for that, right? This is the time to be patient. He's not letting his block dictate his path. For whatever reason, he's saying, I'm going to hit the jets and get to the outside here. And that's not what needs to happen, right? If he just has a little bit more patience, just slow up right here, right? Just do 1-2 shuffle, 1-2, and then cut up inside, right? Allow your block to get here. Have just a little bit more patience, just a little shuffle, right? A little shuffle, let him get there, and then boom, cut it up. Look at that hole, right? Look at that hole that develops right there. You're telling me he can't break this? That was the most frustrating play for me of the game because Donovan Edwards had made that play and I feel like had run better last year. And he's just not there yet. So will he get there? I think probably. But you're going to start seeing Khalil Mullings more. I think you'll have to. I think you'll have to because this play is well blocked, about as well blocked as you could hope for. Everyone does their job. And again, this is going back to the previous, like not the most previous play, but an earlier play where I broke down Myles Hinton, right? The only guy out of the 11 who didn't do his job, and that results in not as good of a pickup. This is the difference between probably 15-yard pickup and a tackle for half a yard, right? And that's huge. That's huge. Maybe not in this game, but in the future, it will be huge. David, I've learned so much about football from these. The games are so much more interesting to watch. Good stuff, man. Keep it up. I appreciate that. That's why we're here. We're all here to learn. I learn something every single game I watch, and I like to experience this with you all as well. Here's another great run from Blake Corum. And let's see. I haven't watched this play all that often. I think I just want to call out good blocks here. Yeah, Hinton does fall over here, but it's relatively well blocked. All right, it's relatively well blocked. Got double team on the edge here. This is play side. Double team right here. Hinton's going to fall off and pick up this linebacker. He gets just enough, right? Good double team initially, and then boom, there's the second block. Now, I do think that I think this is probably your tight end, Barner. I think this is Hibner, and then this is Barner here. Probably should stay on this guy, right? You leave this guy. He has more outside responsibility. Let Blake Corum make a decision to make this guy miss. So they actually leave this guy, and it's lucky that he doesn't make the tackle in the hole. I mean, give Blake Corum a ton of credit, right? He's a monster. So it is a good job continuing on your block, right? If a guy falls off of him, it is Barner picking up that block. If you are losing a guy, right, continue to work and get a block. So Barner does that, right? So give Barner some credit for finding someone else to block. Here's Hinton getting a body on here. He will fall off, but he gets enough of them to allow a crease for Blake Corum. So it's a good job from Blake Corum powering through that. And then, so this is just well-blocked play. Just wanted to continue to kind of illustrate that early on the run wasn't working that well. In the second half here, I feel like Michigan took some of those 3 or 4 yard runs and started breaking them for 8 to 10 yards pretty consistently. And that created a lot of room for the offense to operate. Here, 3rd and 9. And this was an unfortunate sack here. I think this was one of the last plays that we saw Myles Hinton in at right tackle, and he just gets flat out beat. I think I have a better angle of this up close. Yeah, so let's watch your right tackle here, Myles Hinton. And let's try to break down the footwork, try to see what happens here. He's just not strong enough, right? I feel like, and both tackles really get beat. Both tackles. I think it's definitely worse for Hinton, right? Good initial kick step, initially good depth. He gets engaged relatively well, but this is just a bull rush. And the footwork for Hinton, you can see right about here, he starts to lose leverage, right? The path of the defender, when I say leverage, the path here, ideally, right, you want your offensive lineman to be in front of that direct path, right? The more in perpendicular to the path you are here, the more weight that this defender has to work through. Does that make sense? I'm not illustrating that well, but because he's off to the side here, right? This path, the only way that he can prevent this defender from getting around the edge is by holding, right? That's the only way you can do that. You don't want to hold. So he lets him go, and that's just a clear sack. On the other side, left tackle, Barnhart initially does pretty well. I think he stalls 71 enough for the initial pass rush. I think he's doing a good job, but he takes too big of a hop there. You see that last hop here from Barnhart? Instead of just moving your feet, right, chopping your feet, doing a one-step shuffle, he hops really far here, right, when I click play. That hop right there. When you leave your feet and you hop like that, that allows for this secondary move of 71. 71 is going to do a little interior swim move here on that hop. That's too much space, right? That's too much space. And leaving this much space between you and the defender, that spells a problem because you can't get your arms on him, right? He's unimpeded at this point. So JJ McCarthy really has nowhere to go because of both of the tackles. So at this point, and maybe this is getting into John's question, I don't think you have two excellent tackles. I think you have Barnhart's who is a above average good tackle, and between Hinton and Henderson, you're looking at serviceable, right? And serviceable might be generous in some scenarios, right? This is not serviceable for Hinton. You need to do better. So, yeah, I think this was the last play of Hinton at right tackle. We'll see on the next drive, but that forced a field goal. Michigan up 10 at this point, shifting into defense here. And this was a drive that I think Gavin Wimsatt just became a different person for a second because he was just really balling out here. Wanted to highlight that this pass was open, but Braden McGregor comes with a really nice pass rush. Shows really good get off. And when I look at get off, I really want to see how quick are they reacting off the ball. And if they're doing a speed rush, how quick are they able to get up the field? And Braden McGregor is able to get really quick, and then he transfers that into a bull rush. So that's a really good job of getting that left tackle off balance, right? This left tackle, you can see this left tackle really has to stand up here to get depth, 72. He's really hustling to get out here. So Braden McGregor is threatening the speed rush. That forces him to be a little bit more off balance, and then he converts that speed rush into a bull rush. So that's really good recognition. Get to the interior, good hands, powerful hands. He loads up right here, boom, right? Gets him off, and then this little move, I really like this technique with his hands, right? Push off with the left, get your right under, and chop through, right? See that little chop coming up, boom, with that right arm. That forces that hand that's on the shoulder. Good luck. It's gone now. You can't get any leverage. And now he's reaching, right? So I think that threw off just enough for Wimsatt to not be able to hit this. And that might create a pick in the future, right? Because you can see there is a gap here, right? There is a hole for this wide receiver. You can see there is, a conceivable pass that gets completed there. But because I think of that pressure, Wimsatt isn't able to, it might have affected that throw a little bit. So it's really well done for Braden McGregor and almost get a pick there. Rod Moore hustling to the ball. Saw a question here from John. Let me see. Don't know if you've gone over it yet. Is Edwards just not getting the same blocking Blake gets for his runs, play calling, not suiting his abilities? I think I did cover that, John. If you go back, there were a couple plays. I think he's been leaving more yards on the field. But yeah, go back and watch that. I think I adequately described that earlier. This one, frustrating, right? Is it a penalty? Probably. Before we get to the penalty, look at this pass rush out of Jalen Harrell on the bottom of the screen. He is Michigan's best pass rusher, according to PFF, Pro Football Focus. Really impressive that he's been able to do that, and that is a phenomenal move. Right? I don't feel like we saw that at all out of him last year. His ability to bring out that spin move, that's as clean of a pass rush that you'll ever get, as fast as you'll ever get to the quarterback. This just happens to be a snap, 1-2, get the ball out, right? But if this is any sort of longer developing pass, Wimsatt is dead. Right? He is crushed. So no, didn't cause a sack, right? But give Jalen Harrell his flowers on that play because he has shown his ability in the pass rush, right? We had a fumble against BGSU. He caused. He's been getting to the quarterback, and that's something that he's really has been his downfall as an edge defender is a lack of pass rush. So his ability to put this on film consistently, not just against Bowling Green, but against a team like Rutgers, who won't be the best offensive lineman he faces this year. But this raised my eyebrows a little bit. His ability to show that and to have that spin move in his repertoire now. I'm going to be watching him a lot closer. So, okay, let's get into the pass interference. Is this pass interference? Probably. And I say that because of the arms, right? If you don't put your arms over the shoulder pads here, if you're Josh Wallace, if you don't put your hands like that, you're not going to get this called, right? If you say instead of this, say he puts his right arm and does like kind of a similar, like almost like a pass rush move, right? To like work through and instead of extending his arms here, say he tries to duck under and his body, right? Like his shoulder is the first thing that makes contact instead of his arms like bear hugging like that. If he's running through with his body, attempting to go towards the ball, which I still think he is trying to go towards the ball, there's just no reason to do that with your arms. So I technically think this is the right call. I also think it was probably uncatchable, right? If we go back to this angle, do we really think this wide receiver is going to be able to get to this ball? I don't think so. But as we see this penalty called all the time, they're going to say, is it reasonably close? Could the wide receiver maybe dive out and get a hand on this ball? And the answer to that is conceivably yes. Possibly it's in the realm of reasonable. So when that is the answer, they're always going to throw that flag. And when you see Josh Wallace throw the hands around like that, it's going to get called. So it's unfortunate, right? Because he was there, good coverage, good reaction. Just can't be doing that, right? And again, in this game, did it really matter? No. In a future game, that could be huge, right? What was that? 2nd and 15? Yeah. So bummer to give them a free first down and 15 yards on that. Or is it 15 yards? No, I think it's spotted the foul, right? Regardless, tough to get a first down on that. Okay, 2nd and 10 here. Little play action pass. Here's Jalen Harrell again, almost getting to the ball. Okay, so we'll break down the ball again. First of all, yeah, okay, let's focus on pass rush. Again, Jalen Harrell, really well done. Really wide split out here, and he's just going to work around to the outside. Again, do I think Rutgers tackles are anything exceptional? No. But this is still good technique, good handwork. I think he's really improved his agility and his strength in the offseason. Whenever you have a pass rush that is getting around that tackle at about 8 to 9 yards, right? And if we are looking at the yardage here, this is the 28, and this is the 20. This is where he's getting around, right? 8 yards, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. That's what you want. That is a good pass rush. If you're a tackle and he's getting around maybe at the 18 here, right? That 10 yards from the line of scrimmage, then you're doing your job as the tackle. But at around 10 yards, at around 8 yards, that's where it gets hairy. And that's where you kind of failed as a tackle. So that's a really good move from Jalen Harrell. And again, something we saw against Bowling Green, something he now showed in the same drive a couple of times against a Big Ten opponent. And he is just a half step late here, right? Again, this is a pretty quick developing pass off of play action here. So I'm not going to fault him. Right? He did clearly the best of anyone on this pass rush. And just an extra beat here, right? If Wimsatt has to read one more thing or shift his focus here, that's probably a strip. So really good job from Jalen Harrell, just a little bit late. Now, I don't think this is a catch, okay? I don't think this is a catch at all, primarily because of this view. Comes down, and you can see the ball clearly rotate, right? I don't know how you can say he has control in his fingertips right here. The ball clearly is rotating from contact with the ground, and I don't know how you say that he has control. And it looks like the ball is even potentially out of bounds at that point, right? I don't think the other angle gives as good of a view of the ball rotation, but the ball is pretty close to contacting the out of bounds line there upon impact with the ground. So again, give Rutgers a lot of credit on this drive. They made some crazy catches, or what were called catches. So I give them a lot of credit, but I don't think that one was actually a catch. Here, another play action, one where Mike Sainristil's in the face, and what another ball, right? Wimsatt, I think this spells really well for Rutgers' future, that they have this guy, he's still a teenager, Wimsatt, right? I think he's technically a junior, but a really young guy, and he's able to throw some good balls. And this is actually good coverage, right? If we look at this coverage, this is exactly what you teach your defensive backs to do, right? He's right there. You're supposed to get if they complete the ball here, what do? You get your hand between them and you rake it out, right? You put it in and you go through their hands, right? And that's exactly what he does. So the wide receiver is holding on to the ball between his forearm and his right arm. right? That's how he's holding on to this ball. So it's crazy. It's crazy that he actually came down with this. Now, did he have full control? The ref can't really see, and there's no camera angle through this, right? Because I got to think on the way to the ground right here, this ball's going to shift a little bit, right? There's no way. But again, you can only go off of the footage and what the ref can see. He's got a foot down right there in bounds. That's an exceptional catch. So these are the ones where it's like, oh, they gave up a couple big plays through the air. When these are the type of passes and catches that you need to make that yardage, you live and learn, okay? I don't feel like there's anything to be ashamed about if you're Michigan. That's just a good catch. Tip your cap, because that's not something I feel like Wimsatt can reproduce a whole lot, and I don't think a lot of quarterbacks will be able to consistently make that throw or wide receivers make that catch in the future. So this is where it was getting hairy, right? 4th and 2, and who else but Mike Sainristil? I had to tweet about this play. What a play. What a phenomenal play. I'm going to have a lot of fun breaking this one down. What a guy. What a guy. Nerd Bill with a good comment. The other team has D1 athletes too. Right. Yeah. Sometimes these guys are going to show out. Right. But Mike Sainristil, man, what can you say? What can you say? And before I shift to the view that shows his play, I want to highlight the really good recognition of Kenneth Grant, right? 78, Kenneth Grant. So let's watch Kenneth Grant on this play before we focus on Mike Sainristil. Kenneth Grant's going to have good recognition, right? Gets in the backfield. He's like, this is too easy, right? Starts running to the play here. So now he's starting to shift his responsibility down the line of scrimmage. And he recognizes right away that Mike Sainristil has the ball, right? And he starts to run. He's running. There he goes. There he goes, the big man, right? And it's hilarious that you have, I don't know how much he weighs now, but 340 or something. 340-pound man leading Mike Sainristil down the field, right? It's hilarious. Look at him go. He can move. On his high school film, there were so many screenplays that Kenneth Grant tracked sideline to sideline, right? So this is a big guy who can move. So there goes Kenneth Grant out in front, right? Head on a swivel, recognizes here comes the quarterback. Boom, gets a block, right? Was it a necessary block? Probably not. That's just fun, man. And then watch how happy he is after this block. After Kenneth Grant gets a block here on Wimsatt. Boom, gets the block. Watch him celebrate. Yeah. He's so pumped. Hilarious. Just a football guy. So really funny from Kenneth Grant. Welcome, Mr. Martini. Hope you got yourself a martini here. Okay, now let's shift to the play from Mike Sainristil. I like this angle the best. I can't get rid of the Fubo play of the game marker, so you have to deal with that. But let's watch the eyes here of Mike Sainristil. And he mentioned this post game. Give me one sec. He mentioned this in the post game interview that he noticed, right, the motion of number 6, or the what looked like he was setting up here Will Johnson to go and block him, right? So that's where the eyes of Mike Sainristil are initially, where he's reading this wide receiver. He recognized something is fishy, right? So his eyes, immediately after seeing number 6 go in this, his eyes shift to this wide receiver, right? And he's like, okay, what's going on with him? What is he doing? Recognize that he's coming across here. So this is all processing. And granted, this is in, milliseconds that he's making these reads. So he shifts from number 6. Boom, he's going out to block. This guy's coming inside. That's a tunnel screen, right? He recognizes that right away. So this guy's coming to the inside. This is tunnel screen. Boom, eyes shift towards the quarterback, right? You can see the ball at the bottom of your screen right here. You can see the ball. He recognizes it. And then he perfectly judges where this is going, right? He doesn't take his eyes off of that ball, right? It's my ball, right? So at this point, he realizes there's the ball. I'm going for it. That's my ball. Go on the same path as the wide receiver, meet him at the ball, and it's perfect, right? And then he has the balance to stay up, right? He upends Junior Colson here. Junior Colson, give him credit, kind of jumped trying to get out of the way. And there he goes. There goes Mike Sainristil. Just an exceptional play. And I think it was, I don't know who mentioned it, if it was post-game or whatever, but this is the value that Mike Sainristil being from the offensive side. How many guys do you see being able to recognize this is a block, shift his eyes here to recognize this is a tunnel screen, and then shift your eyes towards the ball and go on a beeline, perfect angle and perfect timing to make that all happen, right? And there's no wasted movement either in his steps. Watch his technique, right? A little back step processing, shuffle, 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 boom. No wasted motion here at all. So it's a combination of recognition, right? Experience, having that offense experience, and just being an exceptionally smart player with excellent technique and a great athlete to boot, right? Meanwhile, ESPN is throwing me some notifications. Apologies for that. So it's something where I feel like Mike Sainristil was making similar types of plays last year and was honorable mention All Big Ten. He was no worse than second team All Big Ten. I would put him at the top. Obviously, I'm biased, but this is just excellent recognition and exceptional athleticism at the end of the play to stay up and then obviously take it all the way to the house. So can't give him more credit than everyone else already has, right? But just a football player and an exceptional defender. Dude's a monster. So probably my favorite play of the game right there, because it just showcases the skill set we all know and love out of Mikey Sainristil. That's a great point. Blue-eyed bandit. Yeah, let's go back and point that out real quick. It is a really good job for Will Johnson as well to beat that block, right? Because he notices as well. You can see his eyes. He's starting to notice it as well. So he works his way through that block and probably gets an assist here as well. So he's working through it, right? And he is making a little bit of contact right here, making things a little bit more difficult for that wide receiver. You can see the legs, right, start to kind of get caught up with the wide receiver because he's right behind him. So that's good recognition from Will Johnson as well, making the wide receiver's life just that much more difficult. And, that could be the difference of Mike Sainristil being able to make that interception or not, right? So yeah, that definitely helped. Good call out there, Blue-Eye Bandit. I didn't mention that. Okay, here we go. Donovan Edwards, again, don't want to pick on a guy, right? But what is the objective of going to the outside here, right? I truly don't understand, right? I truly don't. He has to recognize where there's time for patience and where his eyes should be. It doesn't seem like he's reading a whole lot. And what I mean by reading a whole lot is this is just inside zone, right? There's nothing real special about this play. It looks like he's trying to bounce, right? He's trying to bounce the outside here, but the numbers are favorable on the inside for you here, right? You got a nice double that's being executed right here, and then Keegan's going to fall off and get to this linebacker, right? This guy's throwing himself here. This guy is outside. And if we slow it down a little bit here, we can see that there's a hole that's forming right here, right? There is a hole. Of course, this linebacker might flow over here, but there's nothing to the outside, right? This guy has responsibility for that. But looking at the head, right? The head of Donovan Edwards, he's not looking anywhere else. He's not scanning. He's not really processing what's going on in front of him and finding those potential opportunities, right? So you kind of negate this excellent push that you get out of Ladarius Henderson and Keegan, right? They get really good push here, and you get a good block on the second level here from Barner. Decent enough block here. So you get good movement there. Interior, that's there, right? Of course, again, I said it before, this guy might be able to react a little bit better here, but this is a much better option based on your offensive line than here, right? Because Barnhart doesn't really have a good option of picking up this edge defender. It's just not in the cards. So it's frustrating, right? It's frustrating because it doesn't seem like he's the game is slow enough for him to be able to process that. Nerd Bill, he was trying to go one-on-one with the linebacker on the outside like he did against Purdue last year. Might just be trying too hard to get the highlight juke. I think you're right. I think he's trying to break it, right? And think about some of the plays where he's able to make one guy miss and then he's gone, right? Trying to break a big play. I think he's just in his head a little bit too much, and he has to take what is given to him because the offensive line is doing their job here, right? I truly think if he's not able to get past this, right, to this second level, he's at least getting here. He's at least getting here and getting tackled and falling maybe at the 48-yard line. That's doing your job, right? That's doing your job. If that's all the defense allows you to get, then fine. But this is a loss, right? That's the difference between a tackle for loss and getting 4 yards. And that's big. That's going to be big later on. So you want to see that improve. Okay, here we go. Early in the fourth quarter. And this, I mean, this is just what you want out of your tight end. Real quick, John is asking, is Edwards trying to avoid contact on the inside, maybe thinking too much about his health and NFL future? I would honestly think that's a stretch. I think he is in his head about number of touches and maybe the number of opportunities that he has to really show out. So maybe he's looking a little bit more to leverage his athleticism, right? To, I think, kind of what Nerd Bill said of trying to make guys miss and get more of a highlight run. So I don't think it's necessarily like a contact thing. I think he's trying too hard. I think that's the best way I can summarize it, is he's either not comfortable or trying a little bit too hard and forcing things that aren't there. I think that's the best way to put it. I can't speak anything else to him mentally. So this is, I feel like, what was the term before? It was called like the butt zone or something, where just let your athletic tight end go up and get it, right? Real quick, not the best job on the left side from Ladarius Henderson, right? He gets, I can't tell if that's a hand in the face. Doesn't seem like it. He doesn't stay in front of this pass rush for the entire duration of the pass, right? You look at his base, and his base is a little bit too wide right here, I think, and he's not moving his feet quick enough to stay in front. He's pretty clunky here. He doesn't have a lot of power here. He's kind of getting pushed in a little bit too much and standing too straight up. So not the best protection here. JJ McCarthy gets it out just in time. And honestly, was this the right decision? I think if it's me, I probably like this matchup of Blake Corum versus this linebacker, right? On 1st and 10 here. But because this is double coverage, right? There is double coverage here on Colston Loveland. But when you have a guy like Colston Loveland, you can trust him with a pass like that, right? So I'm not going to discourage more passes to your athletic tight end. And this is a great route, right? You look at this little shifty outside step, boom, work your way through, subtle little arm, like a little swim move there, right? And then the ability to do that and jump off of your left foot there to go up and get it. Excellent catch, excellent grab. And this is why people are hyping him up, right? How many tight ends can go up and make that snag? And to John's question of, do you think he has the best hands on the team? Probably, I would say. And it definitely is a confidence building throw for JJ. And I think this, when you know that you have guys who can go up and get the ball like this, that just makes you more confident in your ability. I don't need to be perfect, right? On this throw, I would argue there's not a whole lot of room for this throw to be thrown, to be caught and not defended, right? That's about the only spot that ball can be for Loveland. Maybe not quite that high, but it's pretty close. But anyway, it takes the pressure off of your quarterback because you can trust your guy will go up and get the ball. So he's an athlete, man. And that's why Michigan really loves him. And that's why he is one of the best in the conference, if not, top 5 in the country, I think. Here, again, I actually don't want to break this one down too much. It's just more of the same, where just threaten the edge, right? Threaten the edge. If they want to continue down the line of scrimmage like that, right? If they want to add favorable numbers into the box here, right? Again, let's count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? They want to bring 8 in the box. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? If you're 7 on 8 here, how do you win? How do you win? You read here, right? You have 2 options here and you read. You take this guy out of the blocking and then boom, 7 on 7, right? 7 on 7 once you remove this guy because you're reading him. So that's how you win. That's how you win. Eliminate one guy you have to block, make things easier on your offensive line, on your running back. That guy wants to go inside, boom, beat it to the outside. And give credit to Cornelius Johnson, right? We've been hard on him on this. I feel like fans have been hard on him when it comes to blocking. And I've been hard on him when it comes to blocking as well. This is what you need out of your wide receiver, right? It's a good job mirroring here. Tries to run him off, starts, and then just mirrors him, right? You don't need to have a big thunderous block on him. This is perfect. If this guy wants to work upfield, just get in his way. You don't have to pancake him or anything, but that gives enough room for JJ McCarthy out on the edge. So good job from him, right? Good job from Johnson. Really want to give him a lot of credit because I don't know if he caught a ball today, but doing this will continue to get him a lot of looks on the field because when you're not getting the ball, you're not getting thrown to for whatever reason. Sometimes there isn't a good reason, right? But you're able to consistently show that you're willing to block. That's going to get you time over other wide receivers. If you can consistently block, you're going to get time. So give him a lot of credit for that. Did I hear something about JJ having a little bit of bump ankle before the game? I didn't hear that. It could be. Again, I'm not as clued in. That might be something that Josh or Trevor would have more intel on, maybe Brock as well. John would love to see one-on-one throws to Loveland in the end zone. I generally hate like one-on-one throws to the end zone, but with Loveland, I'll make an exception. I kind of agree with you. He's a mismatch nightmare. And then this is just a power run from Blake Corum, right? Anyone, this I love to see, right? He is just a load to take down. And it's funny because he's 5'8"? Really good block here from Colson Loveland. Want to give him a lot of credit on this. So let's see the blocks here. Oops, why did I do that color? There. Boom. Lead block here of your H-back, and he's getting the first thing is probably this guy through the hole, right? That's where Colson Loveland's going. You have a double here on the inside between Zinter and Nugent. Zinter's going to fall off to get this linebacker. Really good job there from Colson Loveland, right? Really good job. And then it's just Blake Corum against 2 guys, right? There's a defensive back. Boom. Put your shoulder into his, right? Able to power through that and then powers through a safety hanging on him as well. Really, really good job. One thing about this, though, got to be careful extending the ball, okay? So right here, right, we don't get a good angle, but right here is probably where, if we look from the other angle, let's see where he crosses the plane, right? Where he crosses the plane, where he's extending. It's probably, yeah. So I don't think he really needed to extend it all that much. We don't actually get a good, oh, yeah. So it's a little bit before his hand is like getting to the ground here. But if we watch this angle, and I'll tell you why I'm being specific about this, right here, it's probably a touchdown, right around here. But right there, he loses it, right? He's losing the ball right here. You can see the ball starting to come loose. So it's clearly, already a touchdown at this point because the tip of the nose of the ball has clearly already passed the end zone from the other angle. But right there, he loses it. So in the future, right, that it could be called a fumble. So something to pay attention to moving forward because I don't think he actually got on top of it afterwards, but it was dead at that point. So just something to be careful about, right? I hate to see goal line fumbles, but give Blake Corum a ton of credit for, again, running strong, right? This is why he put on muscle, maybe sacrifice a little of that top end speed for the muscle. It's for plays like that, right? And that's so important to have because red zone offense is tough. It's difficult. You don't have a lot of space. you're going to have a lot more contact. You're going to have the horses to fight through it. And he has that. And he's able to do that. Okay. Let's see this play here. This is one of the few Monangai runs that actually went anywhere. So I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on this because I don't think it's terribly relevant. Good initial pass rush here out of Chris Jenkins. One of the few plays I feel like I've seen Kenneth Grant really get blown off the ball. So Kenneth Grant here, 78. He just gets moved a little bit. Really good move out of Chris Jenkins here, but it didn't really, when you have that combo, right, of Kenneth Grant getting blown backwards like this and Chris Jenkins working through the line of scrimmage but not making the tackle, that leaves a pretty gaping hole here for your running back to go down. So Chris Jenkins does a good job here, but he's not able to get the tackle, right, just by the path that Monangai has. You could also probably call holding here because this dude is grabbing him from behind. So it kind of is what it is, right? But I do think that Kenneth Grant needs to be doing a little bit better job. It's a tough job for everyone else to get out there. So this one I'll chalk up to good play from the offense and just kind of move on because it was few and far between those successful runs. And then last couple plays I want to break down here is Khalil Mullings. Where Khalil Mullings really showed something at the end of this game, right? These reps are valuable. And you still have all of your starters in here, right? You still have all of your starters here. And Khalil Mullings got a little bit of run on power plays. And this is what you want to see from a second running back, right? This is an exceptional run. So really good job from Barner. I think Barner, time and time again, I feel like I keep calling out his name. He does an exceptional job as a blocking tight end. You could argue he's one of the better blockers on the team. He's huge as a tight end, and he just gets such great secondary movement on this. So Barnhart, the right tackle on number 90. Watch 89 here, edgemost guy here for Michigan. Get a push initially, right? Watch how much he affects by attacking the hip. Attack the hip, get him out of the way, and then watch Barner get out to the second level here on the linebacker, right? That's what springs this play, is that block from Barner. He does a great job. Really excellent from him. So Barner helps spring that. Good job from Max Bredesen getting onto the unblocked edge defender 17. That's the kick out block here for Bredesen, and then you got Keegan coming through, take out the first guy you see, right? So there's Keegan, boom, taking on that, and that's just the crease you need, right? So it's good vision, good patience here out of Mullings, where he takes that one little skip, right? And this is something I feel like Mike Hart coaches his running backs really well to do this, but then watch how he steps on it, right? There's no hesitancy after this skip, boom. And that little skip, that gives just enough time, right? Watch when he skips. Right as he's skipping here, he is reading, where is this block happening? How is this block happening? And then he goes. There's no hesitancy off of that, right? Boom. He's able to do a really good job, hit the hole hard, right? He hits the hole right here really hard, and he makes this really nice little sidestep, right? Keeps his feet chopping. This is excellent footwork through the hole. This is why you do your footwork drills, right? I feel like you put this on film. That's why you do the footwork drill. And that's just power, right? I really love his ability to do that move, and then he brings up his second arm, right? He recognizes someone's reaching for the ball. Bring up that second arm. Protect the ball. Keep the feet moving. Breaks through another tackle. It takes an ankle tackle, right? He almost gets all the way through this. So give a ton of credit there. And, Roman Wilson is blocking pretty well here. You could call probably defensive face masking, whatever, right? So give Roman Wilson. He is out here on the block. Wide receivers, of course, aren't going to be your best blockers, but they are going out and getting the job through 15 yards, right? But yeah, this is really great to see from your third string running back. He's going to get more carries because he's putting this on film. Like, I think he's too good to leave off the field if he's able to consistently do that. That is fast processing. You need to do a better job if you're, who is that, Fred Moore? I think number 3 on the outside. You need to go out and get this, right? Because if he goes out and gets that block, on the outside there, then that gives Khalil Mullings another guy to continue, right? Another block to continue off of. So really good job all around blocking, and Khalil Mullings, workhorse. And Martini says he looks leaner this year, and that makes sense, right? Coming from a year where he was, coming from being a linebacker, and now he's able to focus on running back full time. And I'm excited. Out of high school, I used to do a feature called Freshman Feature, I think is what I called it. And I said I liked his film at running back out of high school more than I did at linebacker because I liked the way he hit the hole. He had an acceleration that I feel like is rare to see out of a running back, and he's big. So I feel like you're going to continue to see him. I feel like he's getting more comfortable in that position, and he runs hard. He runs really hard. This is what I love to see, right? He still had the little hip step here, right? The little skip step. I don't know why I call it a hip step, but a little skip. That little skip right here, he still has it, right? He still has it. But when things are looking like a mess, right? What do? Like he recognizes here, you know what? I don't see a whole lot for me. I'm going to create some yards. Boom, right? Barrels into Henderson. And look how many yards he creates here. If you pause it right here, you're like, yeah, there's probably not going to be a whole lot of yards, right? Just because they're playing close to the line of scrimmage. They're bringing a lot of bodies here at the line of scrimmage, right? You're outnumbered here. You truly are. Let's go back and count the box real quick. Maybe you're not outnumbered. Did I lie? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Oh, so this is 7. Okay, so 7 against 8, right? So you are outnumbered. I didn't lie to you. Okay. So yeah, you pause right here. You're outnumbered. You look at this second level. These guys are trying to work out there, right? You're trying to get out there, but you're outnumbered. And it's not likely that something's going to develop. Guess what? Boom. Barrel into your offensive lineman, push that pile, get that momentum, and look what it turns into. Right? That's a 3rd and 2 that turns into what? 12-yard gain? 10-yard gain? Yeah, like pretty damn near a 10-yard gain, 10-yard gain. That's huge. That's huge. So for him to be doing this late in the game, he's recognizing that these reps mean something, right? And I like having the starters out here for him to prove that, right? And this is, again, I think these were all of his carries that I'm showcasing here. There weren't many missed yards that he left, right? And this is something, again, where is this play meant to go? This is just inside zone. But you can see sort of the eyes here for Khalil Mullings, where he recognizes there's a body working through here, right? And this is where Bredesen is picking up a block. This is probably initially where the play is supposed to go. But guess what? There's someone flying through the hole here. So I think you can see Khalil Mullings' eyes shift from the left here, right? It's a quick little look. It seems like he's looking slightly to the left here. And then he's like, you know what? I need to take that little skip, right? Take that little skip and make a cut and look elsewhere, right? Boom, hits that hole, still picks up 4 or 5 yards. That's huge, right? That is huge. Always fall forward and pick up yards. I feel like that's something that, Haskins was always great at, falling forward. Blake Corum is obviously exceptional at that, but we haven't seen this level of aggressive running from your second running back in Donovan Edwards. You haven't. So this is creating yards that aren't there, right? It's one thing to take the yards that are there. It's the other one to force the yards, right? So he just finds a little bit of a crease here, right? He notices there's a little bit of a gap here where he's going to be able to eke out a couple yards. And the difference between 2nd and 10, 2nd and 9 to 2nd and 5 opens up your playbook so much. So can't reiterate that enough, where if this is the film that Mullings is putting out there and Donovan Edwards is missing yards, not just not creating yards, but missing open yards that the offensive line is creating for him, you're almost forcing the offensive coordinator's hand in putting Mullings in on those situations more so than Donovan Edwards. So that's going to be something I'm watching a lot for the Nebraska game, that rotation and the amount of snaps that we see Mullings take in those scenarios. I still think you'll get plenty of touches for Donovan Edwards, but especially on short yardage situations, you're going to see more Mullings because I think his upside is really high. And you don't want to think about next year as well, but it's really valuable to have another really big sort of back who is comfortable with the ball and is still getting used to the position. You want him to continue to show up and get those reps. So I think Khalil Mullings is going to continue to improve and continue to get more touches game over game. I promised John I would get back to his question. Let me scroll back up. Let me see. Where is it? Where was the question? Did I miss it? There it is. Want to know if you break. Okay, so Barnhart, Henderson, Hinton rotation and more depth. So I'm not sure what the coaches are seeing. All right, in practice, none of us can be sure. Obviously, there's something that they still really like and are hoping with Myles Hinton. There is, and he does have tremendous upside at that size. I still think he does have an NFL future. I think it's going to come after next year, though. I still think he has quite a bit of development, more so than usually a guy at his age would be. But there's still a tremendous upside for him to uncover. Henderson seems like the safer option at this point. I don't see as many negative plays. There are still some. But Myles Hinton, I thought, had a step up in the pass protection aspect of his game compared to Ladarius Henderson. This game, we didn't see that, right? And I feel like that's why we saw Henderson get put back in and Myles Hinton taken out. I also think Carson Barnhart is probably a B overall tackle, right? A B, and that's good, right? I think he's good. But he's definitely, I don't think he's a left tackle. And putting him at right tackle, where he's been more for his career, will behoove him. And it'll add some cohesiveness towards that right side of the line where he's used to being. So I think in general, I would like to see just a single unit and roll with it. I think it's the right move to have cohesiveness across your offensive line. Let those guys develop. There's a lot of intricacies of the position that having consistency can really, really help. And that's missing. I think that's one of the key aspects that has caused some of the unrest in the fan base. But listen, I still think the offensive line has performed well. Maybe not up to the standards of 2021, 2022, right? The Joe Moore award-winning offensive lines. It's going to be hard to, especially with two transfers when your previous transfer, Oluwatimi, is already getting significant time in the NFL. You're just not going to find that year over year. You're just not. So I think they're doing fine. I think it's still probably a top 5 offensive line unit in the country, maybe not number 1, right? You have enough weapons. You have enough out of Michigan's offense to still make all of this work, even if you don't have the runaway best offensive line in the country. So maybe they took a little bit of a step back, right? I think that's fair to say. And I think both of the transfer, I like what I see out of Nugent, but I think the tackle is going to continue to be the weak spot of the offensive line, but it's still not bad. I think you're looking at serviceable at one position and good to very good at times out of Barnhart. So I think that's my take. I would like to see Henderson continue to get more run and get starts. And I don't know what's going on behind the scenes, right? I don't know how they practice. Don't know if Henderson is still getting up to speed, whatever it may be. There's something that the staff really likes in Hinton, wants to continue to explore. But I think it's getting to that time where having more cohesiveness is a better approach than continuing to explore Myles Hinton upside. That's my take on it. Let's see. Isn't Mullings out of eligibility this year? Let me look that up. That's a good question. Khalil Mullings. I thought he had an extra year. When did he come in? Was he a 2019 guy? 2020? Yes, he was the class of 2020. So 2020 didn't count. So technically 2021 was his freshman year, 2022, 2023. So he is junior standing right now. And did he redshirt? I'm not sure. He either has 1 more year or 2 more years because he was a 2020 recruit. So you can throw out that season, right? That's a free year. So 2021, 2022, 2023. This is the 3rd year that counts against his eligibility. Now I'd have to go back to see if he took a red shirt in 2021. Let me see if I can find that on his profile at Michigan. I thought he was out. I thought he was out there in 2021. I'm pretty sure he was out there. Let me see. At Michigan, appeared in 13 games. Yeah. So he played in 2020 and he played in 2021. So yeah, he is a senior with junior eligibility this year. So he will be a true senior next year in 2024 for his eligibility. Okay. All right. That's it. Those are the last plays. We got through it. I'm going to go eat some food. Yeah. Spend time with the dog. We'll see. All right. Throw a like on the video if you guys appreciate this. I will be at Nebraska, still hoping to do some analysis after the game. But, yep, doing a little road trip out to watch the Wolverines against the Cornhuskers. So, yeah, leave a like on the video. Leave a comment. Pet your dogs. Tell your cats I said hello. And we'll do this again next week. Probably, I don't know if it'll be Sunday. That might be tight, but probably Monday. Have some corn. I'll probably have to, man. You have to drive through it to get out there, right? Just drive through a cornfield straight to the stadium. No, I'm joking. It'll be a good time out there. Okay. Head over to michigan.rivals.com. I'm active on the boards here and there a little bit. So lots of great stuff over there. Josh, Trevor, Brock, everyone doing a really good job over there, and it's really fun staff to be with. So for myself, Steven Osentoski, this was Cut Ups Rutgers edition. See you guys next week. Have a good Monday night. Take care. Go Blue.